Twitter at JMike1400.
Okay, and I'd just like to say it again for the record. I am the Doctor of Truth, and the truth is Urban Meyer's a football genius. I don't care what these guys say. These guys, of course, would include Nevin Mulholland and Randy Kuhlman. They're here every Friday as we do a sports show. Actually, I do the sports show, and they just kind of, hang around. All right, Nevin, you brought some guests.
Mike, I did.
All right.
First, I have from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu. But a Dodge boy.
A Dodge boy. Tommy McTeague, good friends with Jim. Who owned the Broncos? Or Pat Bolin. Pat Bolin. Yeah.
Pat
used to
Bolin.
sit in Pat Bolin's suite in his box. But bigger and better than Tom McTeague.
Absolutely.
We have the king of L.A.
Absolutely.
All the way from L.A., our greatest fan and our only listener, Steve Booth.
Steve Booth, yes. Steve used to call in all the time from Los Angeles, especially when we were still on in the morning. Yes. Steve would, and his sister was the late Barb Dennis, who worked here for many, many years. We all loved her. She passed away. Was it last year, Steve, or the year before?
It was just March 15th.
March 15th of this year. I'm getting old, Steve. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting old over here.
Well, at least you remembered that she had passed away. You tend to get confused with some. And by the way, Osborne, still alive.
Still alive. You'd probably come back as Nebraska coach.
Maybe.
Okay, so I was ridiculed mercilessly here when these guys got here. Of course, they're very unfair to me. Just because I reported, and I didn't report it, I sent them a text, Nevin and Randy, that Matt Campbell could be interviewing for the Nebraska head coach job, and for some reason you guys just didn't believe that. Now, why didn't you believe that?
Because
you little face.
You said he was interviewing today.
No, the next day.
You said Friday. Today's Friday.
Oh, he's playing on Saturday, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your problem?
I wouldn't be surprised if he does interview at Nebraska,
Yeah.
but he wouldn't be interviewing the day before his home football game.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that's the way it is then. So do we have any candidates for the Nebraska? How about you there, Nebraska boy? Do you have any candidates for the head coach job? Is Tom Osborne still alive?
Tom Osborne's still alive.
I had him dead for a while, guys, Tom.
And that would be news if he comes back to coach the Cornhuskers. But, they've got quite the lineup. They're claiming that they're going to interview, along with your genius, Urban Meyer.
Urban?
They're throwing Bobby Stoops in there. That will not happen.
Stoops?
Yeah, that won't happen. But people like the Coastal Carolina coach, whose name escapes me, but Bill O'Brien.
Mark something, isn't it? The Coastal Carolina guy?
Leopold from Kansas. I don't want that to happen. This guy, we finally won 2 games down there in a row, and we haven't been beat yet. It's quite a lineup. Who else you got, Randy?
I heard Mark Stoops was one.
Oh, yeah, Mark Stoops is one. He's high up on the list. Yeah. So, listen, it's a great job. If you want to know the truth, at this point, the bar is very low. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you come in there and go 500 or the first year or two, they'll be pleased. They've got more money than God knows what to do with. I mean, they couldn't wait till October 1st to fire Frost. It cost them another $7.5 million. That's insane. And they're building.
That Albers guy must have been mad at Scott Frost. 15 days he could have waited and saved himself $7 million.
Now, the word I got from very reliable sources is that it was a couple boosters just said, hey, we can't watch anymore. And we'll take care of it.
Hey, we watched the Iowa game. We lived through it.
Well, of course, the Iowa fans are hoping Brian Ferentz is in play for the Nebraska job.
Hey, we'll get to that later. Oh my God, Steve, I want to ask you a question, especially since there'll be a lot of reminiscing this weekend with you guys as you do your 50th class reunion, or is it 51st or whatever it is? But anyway, Nevin told just a terrible story here. He's told it a couple of times that when you guys were in high school, you went down to Urbandale to play football, and Nevin got knocked unconscious, and the coaches just put him back in the game. And guys like you and some of the other of your other teammates just told Nevin where to go because he was kind of goofy. My question to you is, was there any real difference between his goofy behavior then or just regularly?
Could I?
No, huh? You can say it.
To the naked eye, to the untrained eye, you could not tell the difference.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at.
but once you break it down, you're going, oh,
Okay. All right.
he's legit. No, he's got it.
Too legit to quit. Huh?
Yes, absolutely.
So, did you guys win the game or not? Or was it worth Neven's sacrifice? Or you didn't win the game? You got beat?
We
You
got
remember?
beat. We did get beat, but also, I think there was some payback. We did some payback for Neven too, because later on, they were playing kind of not so politically nicely, and we ended up getting in a fight. Benches clearing fight.
Catholic kids don't fight, do they? I thought what they called Catholic schoolboys was Fight Club.
So we won the fight, but if you remember, Boother, I got knocked out again. Seriously, and the field cleared, and I was laying spread eagle in front of the Urbandale bench, out like that. I was totally unconscious at that point.
Let me talk to Tom over here a little bit. Tom, were you involved in sports, or you came all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, to go to your old, come back to your old hometown and your class reunion? That's good. You're going to win the award for coming the furthest distance. That's for sure.
Longest distance award. I get to take that.
You get it hands down.
But I do remember that night, and Neven did get knocked out.
Right.
And the funny thing was, we left him there. We got halfway home before the bus turned around.
What position did you play? You must have been in the line, big guy like you.
No, I grew after I got out of high school.
Okay.
But I was offensive end.
You were the offensive end. Oh, you were receiver.
I was a receiver, but I was the slowest receiver. There was only one guy slower on the team than me, and that was Neven.
That was Neven.
He had quick hands, though.
Okay.
So Tom played college football, though.
Did
He
you?
played at Benedictine College down in Atchison.
Oh,
Yes.
no kidding.
Yeah, I moved to defensive tackle there, and that was a lot of fun.
Well, you must have grown.
I went from 160 to 210 in 6 months.
You know, I grew. I think I had growth spurts like that too when I was a kid. Really dramatic. But anyway,
But can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Beer.
The
beer bulked
beer.
him up like
Beer
you
bulked him
can't
up.
believe. Yeah.
Well,
But it was grain belt. It was good beer.
Hey, Grain Belt was the cheapest beer, and that's what we could afford at the time. So
My
we
dad
went with it.
had a case of grain belt in the refrigerator in the garage. Every month he'd buy one case of grain belt, and my mom used it to shampoo her hair.
Women did that. I forgot about that.
You remember that?
Yes, I do. Made their hair soft.
Yes,
but
it made
also
their hair
made it
soft.
smell like a can of Grain Belt.
Well, if you saw my mom's hair,
I forgot that. I forgot all about it. I had a girlfriend that did that, and I'd get closer to her, and it was great. God, it smelled terrible.
oh yeah, and then your breath would smell like green hair all the day.
Well, you know, you can't with beer. Your breath just.
It's just it's part of it.
It's just part of it. So were you guys baseball players, basketball players? Neven was probably a basketball player.
Neven played basketball.
Was he any good?
Neven and I were great at stats.
We sat
Neven
next to
was
each
great.
other on the bench.
Because I couldn't do multiplication, but Neven could. Okay. I was terrible at percentages, but I had the pen and the paper.
You were great. You were great at writing
This
stuff
is a
down.
true story. So we're in the locker room at halftime. Dick Wiedenfeld's our coach, and he's funny. And he was the math teacher at St. Ed's. And Tom's got the shooting chart. And he goes, "Hey, McTeague, what are we shooting here at halftime?" He goes, "What do you mean?" "Well, what's our percentage?" "Oh, I can't figure out percentages." Well, what was worse? He says, "Well, give it over there to so-and-so." It went all the way around the room till finally Jerry Jenkins says, "Oh, for God's sakes, I'll figure it out."
Steve, did you play basketball or? You got to have the microphone, buddy.
Only JV.
Just
They only had 12 men, but I was the 13th man on a 12-man team. So I kind of figured next year varsity, maybe not. Maybe my basketball career was over. So, but can I add one more to the football game, Urbandale?
Oh, of course.
The highlight, which is talked about, well, you also know
The highlight was Neven getting knocked out. There's nothing better that can happen.
Even our team was happy about it.
after that, though, and I even talked with Tom Micklow about this, was we got to go to the Ponderosa Steakhouse and have a steak dinner after our first time, probably for almost all of us, ever been to the Ponderosa
right.
Steakhouse in
Was
Des Moines.
that in Des Moines or
in
here?
Des Moines, in Des Moines or
Des Moines.
Urbandale. I don't know if we had one in Urbandale, but anyway, that was the true highlight. We got to eat at first time ever at Ponderosa Steakhouse.
We don't have those sirloin stockades or ponderosas or bonanzas around anymore. It's just as well. I guess.
We were on a very low budget over
Very
at
low.
Eddie's. We really were. I mean, it was very low budget. So that was pretty exciting for us.
Yeah.
So you guys had high school wrestling then. Your friend, Pat
Lennon.
Pat Lennon. He was a pretty good wrestler, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Was he state champ or Golden State? Or?
No. We had just started wrestling. He had never wrestled until his junior year in high school, but he was very good. And
he's a big, strong guy.
He is a big, strong guy, and he still is a big, strong guy. You know, Cooley can tell you, these guys, he looks like he just walked right out of high school today. I mean, this guy, woo.
Well, I met him down at Rick Thompson's bar not too long
Well, there's a shock.
ago.
I mean, yeah, geez. Wow. I don't know what Pat was doing there. You shouldn't even say it. His wife will be stunned. Right.
He was working with the Little Sisters of the Poor, trying to coach the guy. He was trying to coach the people out. Come this way, you were lost.
Oh,
So who is the president of your class?
That would be Jerry Potratz.
Potratz is a pretty common name in this area anyway. Is he still around here or?
He's in actually Kalamazoo, Michigan right now.
Kalamazoo,
Or he's here. He's here for the weekend,
Yeah,
but
he's here. Okay.
he lives in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Okay. I'm going to try to avoid bringing up anybody who's deceased. So, who is your homecoming king and queen? You guys apparently didn't get in.
I know who the king was.
Who was the king?
Pat Lennon.
Pat Lennon. Okay.
Yeah. And
Wait,
Becky Esslin.
Becky Esslin
Okay.
was, yeah.
All right.
What's
Did
it
you have
called?
a sports king and queen or that sort of thing? Didn't have that sort of thing. Okay. Just so who are the other officers in your senior class? Vice president, secretary, treasurer. Do you guys remember?
What were you? Tom McTeague was something.
I was treasurer. Steve Kirsten was secretary, I think. Joan Helligan was vice president, and I think Jerry Potratz was president.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Who was the hottest girl in the St. Edmund class in 1971? Come
Well,
on.
let's think of who's here this week.
Yeah. We had so many of them. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
All right.
We're going to have to narrow this down to 20 because they're the 20 that showed up.
And they look as good as ever. They
Okay.
look like they just walked out.
Try. Okay. Try to narrow it down.
Did you
boys.
rephrase that?
Yes, I can. Who was the hottest girl in the St. Edmund class of 1971?
I'm not touching it.
You're not touching it?
I'll let McTeague go down with the ship.
Hey, you're going back to Hawaii probably later on.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Steve, you're going back to Los Angeles. Go out there. I mean, tell the truth. I mean, you had hot girls in class of 71, didn't you? I'll put it to you that way. Okay. Did you have any hot girls in the class of 71? St. Edmund High
Sheila
School.
Murray.
Who? Sheila Murray. All right. Steve, come on. Break it out here, buddy. Come on. Give me your secret crush, Steve. We all had secret crushes.
No, I have no comment.
You have no comment. Okay. Who was the girl you thought was, did you think Sheila Murray was hot?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else
If I can,
besides
if
Sheila
I
Murray?
can add second Tom McTeague, yes. I'm sorry.
You're going to second
Sheila
that?
Murray, yes.
All right. Okay. So was Mulholland good with girls, or was he striking out all the time, or did he, or did he just, or was he just celibate?
This'll be
Good Catholic
good.
boys
Well,
are
here we
always
go.
celibate.
He was the Pete Rose of our class.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose, yeah.
Oh,
He was on steroids.
he was Mr. Smooth. I can just see him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to go to mass and then out to my car later?
He had the best lines
Well,
of
we-
anybody.
Oh, I could just see it. Oh, God, can you see it? Yes, I confessed about you last night.
I think I had one date
Did you?
in 4 years.
Okay, there's another question. Who did you get? Did you all have dates to the homecoming dance or not?
Well, our senior year?
Yes, your senior year.
Yeah.
Okay, who was your date, Nevin?
Golly, I can't remember.
Do
for
do
sure.
do.
Do you remember what?
You
Dude,
who
Who my date was?
for senior year?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
I really
don't-
am not sure.
How about you, Tom?
I think it was Steve, wasn't it?
Yeah, Buther. I think it was me and Buther. And
You were way ahead of the rest of us, with the Metro
it
stuff.
was Booth or me, Buzz, and Buzz had a date. He had Patsy. So, yeah, I think there was something like that.
Tom, did you have a date? Homecoming.
I think Christine Ahrens, I think.
Christine Aaron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Christine
All right.
Ahrens.
I
And
think
Pat
mine
Lennon had
was-
Lisa Hurst.
Yeah, and I think mine was Bart Perkins.
Oh, could have been. Yeah.
Did you? Oh, if I'd have known you were going to do this, I'd have asked for a St. Edmunds yearbook from that time. But we don't. We can't do it now. Steve, did you have a date or not? Or was Nevin your date?
As nice and hot as Nevin is,
Nevin's hot. I have never heard him described that way.
Very
Never.
handsome man.
Very handsome guy.
yes, dashingly good
Dashing.
looks.
You actually went with a girl?
I did. I was dating a sophomore anyway.
That's okay. I mean, seniors, sophomores
I
can
think
actually
I
date.
remember who this was.
Anyway, Rosemary Jackowell. Anyway.
Rosemary Jackwell.
Yeah.
I'm not from Fort Dodge, but I remember the Jackwell girls, some of them, and they were nice looking girls.
Yes.
Yeah. I think.
What?
I used to go to the Jackwell. I lived in the south end of town when I first got here. I lived in-
Eddie's.
Yeah,
Eddie's.
well, Eddie's, and then Jackwell Grocery was right over by Olson Park.
Right.
Yeah.
And I certainly went to Eddie's and Jackwell's at both. Mr. Jackwell, I still remember him sitting there with his little hat on, and Larry Prescott, I think his Eddie's son-in-law worked in Eddie's Grocery.
He
Eddie,
did.
Eddie, what was Eddie's last name?
Cassidy.
Cassidy.
That's
Cassidy.
right, Ed Cassidy.
And
that's
Ed, young Ed Cassidy's in our class.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's married. His wife's name is Teresa because I knew that. No, it's not.
No, it is.
I'm
It is.
sorry.
Teresa Weewell. She
I
passed.
beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's really too bad. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
She
Just
was.
recently.
Oh no. She was Weevil from Weevil's Pharmacy.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. No, I know she wasn't. She was not.
Well, she was a real nice girl. I remember that
Yeah,
about her.
yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
I-
How many did you have in your class?
150.
150.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out. We're all trying to figure out why any of the girls mentioned would have anything to do with us, but we,
Oh, come on. Mulholland was there. They
No.
followed him around. They followed him around like a buck in a bunch of fawns going right down the hallway. at
Not
St.
even
Edmund High
close. Ironically, all those girls generally went over to senior high and dated Fort Dodge High guys. They did. They had nothing to do with us.
Okay. Now I've heard this. I was not a native of Fort Dodge, but I heard every now and then that the St. Edmunds football team would meet the senior high football team every now and then between the two schools and kind of have it out every now and then. Were you guys in on that or not? Or did it happen? Or
No.
No, I don't think we did. We all got our class in senior high got along well
okay.
for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah, we ran around together. Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody did.
In the early days, in the 69,
60s, there was a big
70s,
rivalry.
there was always a big
Big rivalry.
rivalry between the two. Yeah.
All
The
right.
Tommy Chapman years and the Tommy Goodman years
Right.
when they were
Oh,
all our state champions. They had
Yeah.
state championships, and we had Perkins and who's the Dan Hansen? Dan Hansard. That was he was our 6'10" guy, and that was
6'10".
And-
Wow.
yeah,
And the Anderson brothers,
yeah.
Tom
yeah.
and John Anderson.
Tom and John Anderson.
St.
So-
Ed's in 1967 had the tallest team in the state of Iowa. They went
Really?
7 foot, 6'10", 6'9".
yeah.
And then
Really?
yeah, they
I
were
didn't know
huge.
that.
Well, Dan Hansard ended up playing for St. Thomas in Minnesota for 4 years. He's terrific. And he was a 7-footer.
And we went to the state championship.
No, we did not. We did not make state. We got beat by Sac City that year.
Sac
Well, what was
City.
the year we
Well,
went to Des Moines?
That guy Chris Phillips or whatever that went to Iowa.
Was it 69 we went to Des Moines?
Yeah, 69 was when
that
we
what it
went to
was? Yeah.
state. Right.
Wow. Wow. So, okay. All right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we had to beat the Dodgers to get there.
Back
We'd
then,
never beat
yeah.
them.
Yeah, we had to go through the Dodgers, our district, to get to the state, and they did it. Class of 69.
Class of 69. Now, is this in basketball you're talking about?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Right.
Oh, that was, or Tom Walters was over there at senior high.
He
then.
was.
He was at senior high.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was a good basketball
He
player.
was.
He's
a
a
good
heck
athlete.
of a
Athlete.
good athlete. I think
Yeah.
he's quarterback in football.
He did. As a matter of fact, here's an obscure record. Tom Walters, for a long time, held the passing record for Fort Dodge Senior High. He passed for over 300 yards in a single game. Guess which team he was playing? Or the Dodgers were playing. What'd you say, Randy? Humboldt. Yeah, he was playing Humboldt. Humboldt High, the Wildcats, and yeah, Tom passed for over 300 yards.
Yeah, that
I
was-
understand
that
Tom's moved down to Ankeny now. Or
That
something.
was the Lions game. We played them. I was the quarterback for Humboldt.
For
against
Humboldt.
Tom.
I figured you might know. That's why I brought it
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great reunion here. I hope you guys can stick around. We're going to talk the Hawkeye Cyclone football game, which is difficult, but we'll talk about it anyway. This is AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
I know a lot of you really want the State Farm personal price plan.
I'm on it pretty regularly. Have you guys, Tom, Steve, you followed Iowa sports or?
Steve probably follows Iowa sports. When you're out in Hawaii, you kind of lose track of everything out there other than pro sports we watch a little bit of, but UH is about as bad as it gets. So that's not, a big
I was going to
follower.
say that's a whole different world over there.
Yeah, it's part of that whole Western Conference thing, and it's BYU and that kind of stuff. So I'm not a big follower, but
if Hawaii was in your conference, you'd have a trip. I'll tell you, if you were going to go to play in Hawaii.
No, yeah, they love coming to Hawaii, but Hawaii hates going anyplace else. So we're mainly pros.
Mainly
Pro football. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the pro teams last night. Since one of Steve's teams played, I watched most of the game. Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers. For the first half, I still thought, even though the score was pretty close, I thought the Chargers had played better. I mean, we had two great quarterbacks there. And Mahomes, I'll tell you, he's a gunslinger. He is.
Yeah.
Nobody throws a sidearm pass like he does. But I really thought Herbert seemed to have more control of the game.
They played great in that first half.
Yes, they did.
And they should have been up probably 20-7 instead of 10-7.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really should have been up a lot more than.
And
they
then
were.
the Chiefs, to their credit, made a bunch of adjustments, both on offense and defense, and actually came back and outplayed them in the second half.
Well, there was that key play where there was an interception, like on the 1 yard line, and that usually, that just changed the whole game. It just did.
The interesting thing about that play is the wide receiver's really getting criticized right now because before that was over, he had run a couple long passes and he was waving to take me out, and they wouldn't take him out. So he ran that out pattern at the end zone, and he didn't make much of an effort. And the quarterback, they felt like he should have made a better effort on the ball, but he was tired. And boy, the pundits this morning were just ripping that wide receiver. I think it was an Everett or something like that.
Everett.
Yeah. And the ball was a little bit underthrown, and he just kind of stood there and let the Kansas City back just step in and pick it off.
Oh, you don't do that in the big leagues. You don't do that in the big leagues.
So.
Neven, did you watch any of the game? No. How about you guys, Steve? I mean,
we were busy last night.
You were busy?
Yeah, and it didn't.
Were you in a hot
pro
tub
football.
somewhere?
No, we weren't. But no, so we missed a game. It sounded like a great game.
It was a decent game. It was a real. I mean, top. As I say, the quarterbacks were a real joy to watch. Well, who's your team over there? Of course, the Rams are Super Bowl winners. Who's your favorite team, Steve?
We're gonna have a love-in now.
We're gonna have a love-in.
The Rams, but this goes back to even when I was still living in Fort Dodge. Always loved the Raiders.
You did.
Yes, even like I say, even in Fort Dodge, I loved it when, of course, they show the Green Bay, Chicago, be cold, snowy. Then they go out to the second game, let's go out to Oakland, California, and fans waving, pom-poms, cheerleaders. I'm going, yeah, I'm digging that. So anyway, even then, they were my favorite.
Nothing like going to a game up in the old Metrodome.
How about baseball, Steve? This is where I thought we were going.
Did you? You're a Dodger fan, aren't you?
Oh, Dodger fan. I'll say it again.
100%.
I went even back in Fort Dodge growing up. I never forget one Saturday, or it was even a school weekday. Got home from school and they had 62 Giants and Dodgers. They had to have a playoff game because they tied for the season.
Sure.
And anyway, the Giants won, but I got to see a baseball game on an afternoon, like in the middle of the week. I thought that was the coolest thing. So I became a Dodger fan and still am, obviously.
The big
today.
boy here is a big Dodger fan.
Yeah, I like Dodgers.
Oh,
I like
boy.
the Dodgers. Yeah, and I'm really with the Cubs. No, that's something Neven and I have in common. I started becoming a Minnesota Viking fan because really, I turned on the TV one time and there was this guy, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage on a winter day, throws a ball 20 yards, the receiver gets it and they gain 2 yards. I'm talking Fran Tarkenton of the Minnesota Vikings. Those were great years, those really were. But I'll just say this. When I die, I want the Minnesota Vikings to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time. they can just let me down one more time, But the Dodgers.
This is your year, Mike.
This is, but the Dodgers are one of those classy teams. I don't know why I think they're classy. I just think they are. They even beat the Twins, who I was kind of fond of in the mid '60s in the '65 World Series, when they had Mudcat Grant on the Twins and Jim Cott and Bobby Allison, Harmon Killebrew, a lot of great players. But of course, the Dodgers had Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, so it was really disappointing.
Dodgers best baseball uniforms.
Yeah, they're the coolest.
I love their uniforms.
They're the coolest. That's right. Tom, you have baseball. I know you have baseball in Hawaii, but does the university? But what is the top? I'm sorry, I don't know much about Hawaii. I landed there a couple of times when I was in service.
I'm not a big baseball fan per se, but if you watch the Little League World Series,
yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that this year, but Hawaii, it was the fourth time they've won the World Championship. And we had fourth time, and it's fun to watch these kids. I'd rather watch these kids than the big leagues, because they're 13, 14, 15 years old, and the pitchers are throwing the ball at 60, 65 miles an hour. And it's just so much fun to watch these kids, win a World Series. And they're playing, teams from New York and teams from actually Nashville was there this year. They had a pretty good team. New Jersey had a pretty good team. And
Iowa had a good team.
Did they?
Davenport.
Oh, yeah. So it was fun to watch. So that's kind of, from a baseball standpoint, that's kind of where we put all of our energy in the last couple of weeks, anyhow, because it just finished. So we had a big parade for them downtown, and it was fun to see.
Well, we're going to talk last week. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say the big Iowa connection in Hawaii is Stan Sheriff.
Yes.
Former UNI head football coach and athletic director, and then he went out. Was he the football coach in Hawaii too? I can't remember. He was the athletic director.
He's the athletic director. They named, in fact, the Stan Sheriff Center is a basketball arena that's named after him. Yeah, it's UH's arena where they have the graduations and all the basketball. But Stan was the man in Hawaii for a long time, and also who was Iowa State's coach in the early? I guess it was late '60s. I forget who it was.
Be Johnny Majors, maybe?
No.
Basketball coach?
Clay Stapleton?
Football coach.
Football coach would have been, no, that would have been Ray Nagel, wouldn't it?
No, that's Iowa.
Iowa.
Anyhow, he came out and coached Hawaii's football team for a while.
Did he really?
And he was, he actually had, they had a winning team, first time in a long time. So I'm spacing on who it is. I'll figure it out here. I'm having a senior moment.
Boy, do I know that feeling. I'll tell you. I really do. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dutch Booth. I'm going to turn to you again for this key question. As you head into your class reunion, there was always one girl who was the makeout queen.
Oh my!
Come on, Booth.
No.
Come on. You're not going to do it?
Next question.
Come on.
Next
Come on.
question.
You can say it. Bless me,
Next
Father.
question.
Bless me, Mike, for I have sinned. Go
Next
ahead.
question.
Bring it.
Next
I'll give you absolution.
Yeah, but
No
you
way.
won't save him from tonight. He's a
I
dead
didn't-
man.
I didn't think I'd really get an answer to that, Steve, but I anyway.
That's right.
So Randy, you're the only guy. Well, I went to Iowa Central, but you're the only guy here who actually went to college in Iowa. That's true. So we're going to have to talk with you about the Iowa State game. It was just awful. It was the second worst football game I've heard after Iowa's game the previous week. So what do we do, guys? We have a serious problem down there at the University of Iowa. By the way, I picked Iowa State to win. I think I'm losing my power.
I did too.
We all did.
We all did.
Did we all? Okay.
Yeah.
But usually, Tom and Steve, when I pick a team, they
It's a
lose.
death.
Yeah, no. So I'm always threatening Nevin. I'm going to pick Creighton every year, or
No.
every game of every year.
Yeah.
So it was just an awful performance. There's nothing. There can be no excuses here. What are we going to do? And
Well,
by the way,
that's a
Iowa
good
State
question.
wasn't that great. Iowa
No,
State wasn't.
I mean, they had that one drive that was very good, but that's a good question. What do we do? They're not going to change. I mean, Ferentz is so stubborn. He's not going to change quarterbacks.
He's already announced that Petrus. Well, he announced, I think, on Wednesday that Petrus was.
I
the
actually
quarterback.
feel sorry for Petrus.
I do
He's
too.
a good young man, and he's playing behind a really bad offensive line right now. His top two receivers are out, so he's got limited weapons, and he has not played well either. And so I feel bad for him, but I really would like to see them give Padilla a chance. You know, Padilla can run and protect himself just with his legs, which Petrus can't do. And I would think that would be advantage again, when you're playing behind a really young, inexperienced offensive line like the Hawkeyes.
Well, if our offensive line, if the interior line is young and inexperienced, as you say, then we need a mobile quarterback, which Spencer just is not.
No.
I've seen so many interviews with that young man. He's I almost hate to criticize him, but
It's class act.
yeah,
he is
a real decent guy. But here we go again with the ultra stubborn Kirk Ferentz failure. He's having a few senior moments, it seems to me.
I think the deal is this: Nevada is one of the worst teams in America. That's who they're going to play Saturday. So this is their opportunity to do, at least to build a little momentum, develop some confidence in Petrus, for him to get some confidence along with that line, and I think they've made a concerted effort that we're going to build confidence here. If it doesn't go well, then Padilla will come in. I also feel sorry for Padilla. Padilla could have went to a lot of different schools this year with the transfer portal, and he would have been picked up by a Power 5 school and could be playing right now. And for whatever reason, he stayed at Iowa, and maybe he's just a loyal guy. It's got to be hard for him sitting there and watching the way things have evolved and not get an opportunity to go out there and prove himself.
Well, you're saying Nevada is one of the worst football teams in the country, and you're right. But the possibility exists the Hawks could lose.
No.
I don't think
they lose.
lose.
They don't win a game for all year, Mike.
Well, that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, I just don't.
You can't believe it. You can't make yourself believe it.
No, I can't. And they're in Iowa City.
Yeah, and they're in Iowa City.
Which makes
right.
a bit of a difference. So I
the Boo Birds were out, boy.
And then I know.
And we've talked about that. We hate that when
but that's a reaction.
Yeah.
But University of Iowa was terrible, and they've had a couple of terrible games. But I want to talk about Iowa State. They were terrible, and I expected a lot more out of Deckers, their quarterback. I expected a lot more out of their team. But
you know what? I give them credit because they were not having a good game. They could have lost that game very easily, and they go 99 yards to win the game. And they made a number of outstanding plays. I'm telling you what, those wideouts are terrific. You give me that Hutchison all day long.
He's an NFL player.
He won that game for them.
Right.
Their wide receiver. He made a couple catches that were off the charts. And I thought Deckers played okay.
And
I thought
they're playing against a really good defense.
Yes.
I mean, the Hawkeyes have a very good defense. It's just that we have a non-existent offense.
Here's what I think changed the game on that 99-yard drive, and even in the second half. Iowa State finally said, why don't we run the ball? And they started running the ball on first down. And it totally, I'm watching the game and go, Iowa State has figured this out. And they're running the ball on first down now. So they're getting in second and third and short where they can, do whatever they want to do. But they were getting good yardage, good push up front against that Iowa defense on first down.
The other thing that we're going to experience if the offense doesn't get any better is the defense is going to get tired, and they got tired in that game. I mean, the defense is out there 3/4 of the time because our offense. I mean, I think we've punted more than we've got first downs. That's how bad it is.
I think you're right.
I know we did in the first game. I think we had 11 punts and 10 first downs in the first game.
I can go back to the days of Ray Nagel and Jerry Burns before that, and poor old Bob Cummings. I've never seen an Iowa team that looked like that.
Bob Cummings' teams were not very good offensively.
Oh, they were well.
Or Frank Lauterbur.
Frank Lauterbur.
In the Ferentz era, which has been 23 years, this is the worst offense he's ever had.
Yeah.
And it's not like we've had great offenses at Iowa, really.
Of course, you want to talk about somebody that was clueless. Bob Cummings, he had his kid in as quarterback, and they went 0-11. That's clueless.
Just about as clueless as having your kid be the offensive coordinator.
I'm sorry. That's true. But I was very disappointed in Iowa State. Very disappointed
in Iowa State.
In Iowa State. Oh yeah.
Really? I don't mean,
they
won the game, and
they were playing a team, as we all agree, was having a terrible game, and maybe they're a terrible team this year. I don't know. Maybe Iowa. Maybe Iowa just sucks this year.
Well, I mean, the defense is really good, Mike. I mean, it's just that the offense.
Yes, it is. It's a great defense, but
so they're not going to give up a lot of points. They're not going to give up a lot of points.
I mean, you're having a bad day at the office, which Iowa State was, but then to take that ball at the 1 yard line and drive it 99 yards and basically chew up most of the second half on that drive. That takes some guts.
That was
I
an
mean, and
8-minute
that takes
It
some
was a 21
composure.
21
know?
play drive.
Yeah, I've been on the end of those type of games. We never came back. I mean, it's hard to get it. It is. It's hard to get your mojo back and to have enough confidence to stay with it. And I will give Iowa State credit. They did do that, and they made plays in that drive. Like I said, Hutchison was unbelievable.
So the Cyclones play Ohio, not the Ohio State,
Right.
which had one of the greatest coaches in finest football.
I think he was a genius.
Woody Haynes, yeah.
Earl Bruce.
Earl Bruce. Yeah, Earl Bruce. Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, Ohio, I think will give Iowa State a ball game. Ohio is in that MAC conference, and those MAC teams, they come into the Big Ten and they'll play you tough.
And Ohio's been good over the years.
Right.
You know, Solich is retired, and I forget who the
Yeah,
head
I don't
coach is
know
now,
him,
but yeah, I mean, they're nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
It's a nice game for Iowa State.
We don't have a lot of time, but what's going on with the Wisconsin Badgers? I mean, Paul Christ up there has been a hero, but now the fans are on him. He's 0-2. The Badgers are 0-2.
Are they 0-2? Who else
Yeah.
beat them? I know Washington State beat them.
Washington State did beat them, and I don't know who else beat them.
The opener.
But they were supposed, if you recall, the Badgers were favored by like 20 points over Washington State, and they got beat.
Well, they've tried to, what has happened is they're in the Big Ten West, and they have all the worst teams in the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
So they're all losing.
Right.
Look out for Minnesota.
Look out for
Yeah,
Minnesota.
And
Could
of course,
be.
I love Purdue now that they got Jones.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was playing who this weekend? I can't see my. I
We're
can't
playing
see through my
Nevada.
bifocals.
Nevada.
Nevada. Oh, that's right. You just said that. I'm sorry. See, I'm losing it. I'm losing it bad. Well, I
Welcome
am
to the
old.
Twilight
I am
Zone
always-
with
I
Mike
must be the
Devine.
only guy that's old in this whole room. Looking
That's
around,
true.
it doesn't appear to be. But if anybody wants to call me at 955-1400 and tell me who the makeout queen of St. Edmund class 71, you may do that. 955-1400.
This could get ugly.
I would love it if the actual makeout queen called me and says something like, Mulholland should know this. and that Tom guy, yeah. Booth tried,
but Booth was special.
Booth was
But Booth was special.
Booth was really the top of the line guy there. All right, give me your. All right, guys, we just have a couple of minutes. Who is your favorite teacher, Tom? Go ahead, Matthew. Who is your favorite teacher?
Oh, wow. Bill Sheridan.
Bill Sheridan. Okay.
Bill Sheridan. Yeah.
Booth, what do you say? Favorite teacher, buddy?
I'm with Tom. Bill Sheridan.
Bill Sheridan. Okay.
Bill Sheridan's hard to top. I'm going to go Jim Weaver.
And what did Jim? What did Weaver teach?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
That didn't matter.
No, we got three Catholic boys here, and they didn't pick a nun.
I want to know how many of them got swatted by John Bruner in those days with the wiffle ball bat.
Well, you know that. Yeah. McTeague, I remember we were
John Bruno up his house in front of his wife.
Well, we did, but in school,
That's terrible.
back in the days where you had corporal punishment, we were in his office one day with the wiffle ball bat that he would tape up, and we're on all fours, and anyway, he's whapping us, and we're laughing. And
I
that
went,
made it matter.
I went to St. Cecilia's Academy in Algonquin, Iowa. I still remember in my nightmares, Sister Mary Columbia. She had the thickest ruler I ever saw in my life. And she'd take us in the first aid room. You know, the implication being that you needed health care as soon as she was done with you. And she would smack your knuckles so hard. I'll tell you, I still feel it.
She used to throw books at you.
Who somebody threw
Mr.
books at
Hyacin,
Nevin?
no, that's
All right. Yes, yes, Steve. Yes.
They used to have those long wooden pointers. And
Oh, the pointers. Yeah.
I could whack. I don't know how many times. I can't use my right hand. I don't know how many times
You get it.
I got whacked. You
All
know,
right.
Go into that.
We won't go into it.
It could be a lawsuit.
Okay. All right, Steve, what's your favorite memory St. Edmund High School? Whip it on. Still looking for a call from the makeout queen. You don't have one? You came all the way here from Los Angeles?
I'll tell you one.
All right.
Everybody, classic Fort Dodge. Our freshman year, we had a basketball coach, Jack Umhofer.
Mm-hmm.
He went like 18 or something, and they fired him. And we all went outside and protested. we want Jack back. And they had to call.
Oh, that worked in the Catholic
I think
schools,
the
yeah.
police came. Had to call
The
parents.
police came?
Well, the whole school walked out,
Yeah,
Wow.
except for two guys that were going, no, we don't. No, we don't. McTeague and me.
Yeah.
We were in the deal. Go, we do not want Jack back.
Real quick, Tom, we're running out of time. What was your favorite memory?
The only reason that he and I were the only two in the school was because our parents, Jerry, my dad, and John, his dad,
Yeah.
were in the process of hiring Dick Wiedenfeld at the time, the new coach, and we knew
Who was
we ain't
coming?
going out there because we'll never play a basketball game again if we're out there, and we never played anyhow.
Never, and never,
We should have walked out. We should have got Jack back.
I'm sorry. We don't have time for you, Nevin. All right.
Condemnation from the White House. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
They used them as political pawns, treated them like chattel in a cruel,